Better shake your booties for black girl nerds. Better shake your booties for black girl nerds.
Hey, welcome to our Last of Us recap show. We are recapping episode 5, which, pretty emotional episode, and had to get through some things with that one. I'm sure you guys had your box of tissues. If you had something to drink, maybe pick your poison to get through it. I don't blame you. But we're going to unpack it and we're going to talk about it. We have a couple of co-hosts that should be joining us a little bit later. They're probably still in their feels and reeling from that episode. But I have Ryan here. Ryan, thanks for joining me on this Last of Us recap.
Yeah, this was an intense one, but yeah, I'm excited to be here.
And also, it's good to be back. We were off for episode 4, so sorry about that, but I'm glad to be back to do this recap of episode 5, which was a very important episode, by the way.
Yeah.
So before we get started into the recap, we're going to do all of the things as far as letting you know where you can find and follow us. We are currently streaming on multiple platforms. You can find us on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch. Please follow us on those platforms. Currently, if you would like to engage with us during this discussion, you can do that via Facebook as well as Twitch and YouTube. So don't be shy. Please leave your comments, leave your shout outs, let us know what you thought about the episode. And we're happy to show your comments up here on the show and we'll talk about it. All right, cool. Episode 5. So we open with the rebels in Kansas City who are a part of Kathleen's revolutionary group. Kathleen is played by actor Melanie Lynskey. I think I've pronounced her name right. I think so. She's great. I love her and like all the things.
Yeah.
Great New Zealand actress. They're beating up and killing members that are left of FEDRA. FEDRA stands for the Federal Disaster Response Agency, by the way, and claim that they now own the city. We see Henry, played by actor Lamar Johnson, and his younger brother Sam, played by Kevon Woodward. I hope I said his name right, whether it's Kevon or Kevin. I don't know, but that is his name. Sam cannot speak, and he's deaf, and Henry is communicating to him in sign language. The actor who plays Sam, by the way, is deaf in real life. So props to the casting on this. I love that they did that. And Kathleen, she speaks to a group of prisoners who we find out were working with FEDRA and are traitors to Kathleen. So she is not happy. She then asks them sternly, where is Henry? So she's on a mission to find Henry. So we're gonna stop there. Ryan, what do you think about the opening of episode 5 so far?
Man, it was intense. Like it matched. It matched how the episode ended, which I thought was so interesting. The way they played the shift in like your emotions, and my heart was like racing at certain points, and then I was calm at other moments. So, but yeah, the opening of this was crazy. Like the federal officers getting taken down, and it's a double-edged sword because they have to defend, between the infected and people that aren't infected. You're trying to provide for your family, so you turn on a couple people, like you do that turncoat thing, where it's like now you're, an informant or however you want to call it, where you're letting them know what's going down, and then you get caught by, I think I forgot the game. I guess they're like rebels now, but I guess in the game they're hunters or something like that as well too, kind of. And you get caught by these rebel people that are, they don't think it's fair. You went after some of their family members. You told them they were just trying to do what they had to do to survive too. Like everybody's trying to survive.
Right.
So it's this endless cycle that you get caught up into. But it's just people seeing the knives and people dragging behind trucks and everything. It was a crazy, like, intense intro. And Kathleen, like, she had me episode 4 as well. She is not to be played with, and she has this so innocent look to her, like you don't think she's gonna be the leader of the rebels, and that's how she gets you, because just the way she presents herself, and then she just comes out of it like, okay, just kill them all. Like I don't have any more time for this. Just kill them all.
Yes. We learned that Kathleen is quite ruthless when it comes to people's lives. So after asking repeatedly, "Where is Henry?" the prisoners remain silent, and she instructs Perry. Perry's kind of like her number one. He's played by actor Jeffrey Pierce, who, by the way, voiced Tommy in the game, The Last of Us.
Nice. Okay, cool.
The voice of Joel's brother Tommy in the game. So that's very cool. And I like the fact that the series is bringing the voice actors into the show. And we're going to see some more in later episodes, but he voiced Tommy in the game. So she instructs Perry to kill the prisoners, to which what you alluded to earlier, Ryan. One speaks up though and says that he's with Edelstein. And Kathleen is dead set on finding Henry. Meanwhile, Perry, he's a bit more cautious about this plan. He's not quite on board with it. He's a little bit reluctant. But Kathleen instructs him to kill the prisoners and burn the bodies. It's faster that way, is what she says. So what did you think about that moment, Ryan? That was
just
crazy.
More of her. She's just like Melody. She is just playing this role. Like it was just more of just, you don't expect it. Okay, it's already bad enough she said kill him, but she's like burn them. She's like, get rid of that evidence. Do this right. I don't want anything tracing back. Burn them. I don't want to have to deal with it. And she just walks off.
I feel like she said,
she's like, next order.
I feel like she said that too when she said it's faster that way. It's just to just get rid of them, like just
that's crazy.
Disintegrate, get rid of these bodies, because there's more bodies to be gotten later on down the road. So I don't think she cares about evidence.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's just like effortless. She's just like, okay, on to the next. Yep, there's her right hand man, Perry.
There's Perry.
Perry. Yeah, because he's like, at some points he's like, I can't believe she get ready to make me do this. But he's loyal. He's doing what he's being told to do.
He's doing what he's being told to do. He's not quite certain of her plan, but like the soldier that he is, he goes forward with executing those prisoners and does what she says, even if he's, even though he has his doubts. I don't think he has doubts about killing them, more so doubts about, where her priorities lie with finding Henry. So there is that. So then what happens next is we see Henry and Sam, and we're actually in a flashback because Edelstein is alive. Because one thing that I think I didn't mention, but maybe I skipped over, but Edelstein is shot by Kathleen while he's in prison. So we go back, we see Edelstein, who Kathleen shot in a previous scene, and he's helping Henry and Sam in an abandoned attic. And he tells Henry that Sam looks scared because he looks scared. And Henry then gives his brother crowns to keep him occupied. I kind of made a little bit of a joke on Twitter, where Sam makes this rendering of artwork where it's a picture of a guy with an eye mask over his, like a face mask over his eyes. And it kind of looked like Damon Wayans' character of Blank Man from back in the day. So that's, that's my theory.
Blank
Maybe he's
Man,
looking
I love it. I love it.
Maybe they had like an old VHS tape or, it was 2013. So maybe they had an old DVD of Blank Man and watched it back in the day. So anyways, so he tells Henry that Sam looks scared. Henry gives his brother crowns to keep him occupied. We fast forward to 10 days later. Henry and Sam have run out of food now. And it's been about a day since Edelstein left. And it's not a good sign. When Henry realizes that he's not coming back, he tells Sam to let him know that they need to go and search for food. And Henry asks Sam to close his eyes, and then he paints his face so that he has the eye mask that looks like the superhero artwork that he had, went ahead and drew on his little, what is that thing called that I forgot what it's called.
No, it reminds you like it's not an Etch-a-Sketch, but it just reminds you of like how you can clear it out.
That is. That's what it is. It's an Etch-a-Sketch.
Okay. I was trying to figure out what it was because it reminded me of that, but I was like, is it different than that?
No, that's what it is. Okay, thank you. And then Henry spots an armed Joel several feet from outside. So I'll stop there. And give me your thoughts about the whole scene between Henry, Sam, and Dr. Edelstein.
Yeah, I thought this was so interesting, and just to have it just shows again how people relied on each other so much. And those little moments of them have somebody being able to bring them food, and you don't want to lose that connection. And then when he doesn't come back, it's like, well, what do I do next? But just the little moments though between Henry and Sam, you just live for in this episode. It's just so cute between the both of them, and they have the ASL and the language that these two brothers have between each other. It's just so beautiful to watch. Just any little moments you get with them playing, and him being a little superhero with the mask and everything on his eyes. But yeah, I just thought their relationship was so cute.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And a quick shout out to Chris from Blurred's Eye View. Great nerd geek platform that you guys should check out. Thank you, Chris, for coming on to the stream and engaging with us. We really appreciate it. You should come on the show sometime, by the way, and chat The Last of Us with us. So yeah, I completely agree with you. I love Henry and Sam. They're just I love the storyline of these two from watching the game and then obviously watching this episode. So and the actors Lamar and Kevin Kavan, they are really great in this role. So yeah, absolutely echo your sentiments there. So Sam has a gun pointed at Joel. So now we're going back to the very last scene of the previous episode, and Henry has a gun pointed at Ellie. Henry says he doesn't want to hurt them. He wants to help. And he tells Joel that he's the most wanted man in Kansas City. But looking at them, he's now probably a close second. Guns are lowered, and the four of them eat together. Henry offers Joel and Ellie an opportunity to get out of the city. And when he tells Joel that he's a collaborator, Joel says that he doesn't work with rats. And Henry insists that he will if he wants to get out. Henry asks for protection and in return for helping Joel get out of the city. And he says, I show you the way, you clear the way. So he knows that by watching and observing Joel that, he can basically get him out of the way, and Henry knows the pathways to get out of the city. Meanwhile, we see Ellie and Sam getting along really closely. And Sam laughs, and Henry says, I haven't heard that a while. And I love that moment because that moment is actually also straight out of the game. So it's just a really tender moment where we see Sam actually be a kid for once and have a kid moment with another kid. And they really kind of have a really close-knit, tight bond really quickly, which I found to be fascinating between Sam and Ellie. So I'll stop here and let me know what you thought about that whole exchange with Joel, Henry, Ellie, and Sam.
Yeah, I love how Henry automatically picks up that Joel is a protector. And he's like, okay, I can see how this works. Okay, I know the path. I know how these people work. And you got the, you got the action ready, the guns ready to kind of protect everybody and get everybody out. So let's partner up.
Mhm.
And and I love any moment too where Ellie can be a kid, because she's grown for real and she's having to face a lot of things. So I like that she has that laughter and somebody to kind of play with, because Joel is not completely letting in. Look at Pedro just acting it up. Look at the faces.
I know. I love his face. I love his IDAGF face.
Yeah, yeah, look at him. Yes, yeah, I love it. I love it. But yeah, he's such a protector mode. And he doesn't want to let those feelings in. We see him coming down though. We see the walls coming down, but he doesn't want to quite let it in yet. So it's good to see Ellie have another, kid around, and they both get kind of have a little bit of fun in this dangerous world at the end. So you get like 5 minutes of fun every once in a while.
Absolutely. And we've got Giandra joining us. Hey.
Hey, Deandra.
Hey, I'm trying to get my little face together.
Oh, you are all good. I have no makeup on and it's okay. I couldn't do it because this episode,
No, that's
You
what I'm
know.
talking about. I had to dry my
Yeah.
eyes and
Mascara
get
would be
myself
running.
together.
Mhm.
Oh, I'm so sad. Oh,
So I'll let you join in on this next scene that I'm gonna break down. So
for sure.
what happens next is Henry draws out plans for an escape through a tunnel, which he only knows was cleared by Fedra 3 years ago. So we, 3 years ago, we don't quite know if that's like still safe enough to go through. And Joel is reluctant, as he should be. But Henry knows that since they survived being attacked by clickers before, that they'll be okay. So they wander into an underground settlement, which looks like some sort of preschool of some sort. And then Sam picks up a comic book, and Ellie notices and says that she loves them. And this is a cool moment too, because in the game, Ellie actually picks up these comics. It's
Mhm.
kind of like, when you have these different archives that you pick up through the game and you get like points or rewards or whatever. Well, she picks up comics throughout her journey. So this very comic book that Sam found is one of the comics that you see referenced in the game. So Ellie and Sam, they're bonding really closely. Henry chats with Joel and he blames himself for Edelstein's death. What happened is that Sam got sick and that he got leukemia. And there was one drug that worked and there wasn't much of it left. And it belonged to Fedra. And if Henry wanted it, he had to take something big. So he gave them something big. And that was the leader of the resistance movement in Kansas City, which was Kathleen's brother. So now we know the motive for why Kathleen is looking for Henry. So I'm going to stop there. Ryan, I'll start with you, and then Giandra, you can jump in as to how you kind of felt about this exchange and what happened during these scenes.
Yeah, what I love about the show is it always puts to the test how far are you going to go to protect the people that are important to you, and it's just how far is that line going to go? Because we know Dr. Edelstein was helping. He's helping them, like, but he's also the leader, and it's like you have to save your brother. Which one is more important to you? So he had to make a choice. And it was, Kathleen was like, okay, I don't accept this. But it's like you have to see the situation people are presented in this world. So this is the moment it got really, really interesting to figure out exactly what was driving her and why she's so cutthroat. Where she's like, burn all the evidence. I'm not worried about it. Let's keep it pushing.
Mhm. Yeah, just to echo what you said. Yeah, one thing is for certain, there are no good choices. There are no, well, maybe this might be a little bit better and less affecting than choosing this. For anyone, there is no good choice, no matter what your intentionality is or anything. Every choice is bad. Everyone has to sacrifice. And just the level of sacrifice that these characters all have to have is just, it's just heartbreaking in the midst of all these chaos. That's all I have to say about that. I mean, there's no moments of peace or just rest at any time, even when you think you've found some type of sheltering to give your mind a break from all the chaos that's going on. There is none. There is none. And this episode just amplified it once again. Learning of past chaos that there's no answer to, current chaos there's no answer to. It's like, what do you do? But nobody is willing to lay down and die. Everybody still has a certain level of bravery within them because everyone is still going to keep going.
Mhm.
Absolutely. Well, listen, I gotta address this comment. Tier isn't here, says Walking Dead season 1 was 100 times better than this show. I 110% disagree with you. I, as someone who watched Walking Dead and dropped off probably around season 5 or 6, because it just became redundant. I've never been more annoyed by a character on a show than I was with Walking Dead season 1, and that was Lori Grimes. She was the most annoying character, and no other character has that impact on me on The Last of Us. Like, I'm not annoyed by these characters. Every character has like a fully fleshed out story arc. There's meaning, there's depth, there's a compelling, like, substantive narrative behind everything that they do. They're not used as plot devices. Like, I don't know. None of these characters annoy me, is what I'm trying to say. So, and also The Walking Dead is a zombie show. The Last of Us is not a zombie show. So, like, the comparisons between this show and The Walking Dead, I just feel like are so, it doesn't, I feel like you're comparing apples to oranges, because ultimately at the core of this, and I'll keep saying this like a broken record, this is a show about Ellie and Joel and their relationship and how that develops and how they deal with hope in a world that's completely devoid of it.
Mhm.
That's what the show's about. Bad Culture TV.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I was not a Walking Dead person, so I can't gauge. Yeah.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, I wasn't either. I don't hate any of these characters on the show, but yeah, I can't. It's hard for me to judge that one. Yeah, I didn't see Walking Dead either, so
I
yeah.
couldn't stand
Yeah.
Lori Grimes. She got on my
I
last nerve.
I literally have only seen one episode of Walking Dead the entire time it was on, and it was when all the OGs was on it. So I couldn't even say. I must strongly just disagree, just because I'm sorry, there is nothing touching this show right now. Like nothing
Nothing.
touching
And
this show.
AMC did
Yeah.
well with The Walking Dead, but I don't
Mhm.
think they're pulling in the numbers that HBO is pulling in with this show.
Mm,
I mean,
yeah.
yeah, and they're both are IPs that came from previous IPs. So Walking Dead came from a comic book. This came from a video game. So you can't say, oh, well, it didn't come from this. So anyway, rant over with that. But I appreciate you, Tara, for, you said you guess you like apples, and that's all good. Like, we all like our stuff.
Yep,
So
yep.
there's
Yeah.
going to be people that don't like this show, and that's fine too. Like,
I like mangoes. This is giving me mango because
Yeah.
it's just, it's on another level of fruitdom.
yeah. I just hope it doesn't, just before I get to the recap, I just hope that The Last of Us doesn't become a show where they're trying to milk it because of its success, because that's kind of what happened with The Walking Dead, where it goes on for season after season after season, and you're just like, what is this show about anymore? I hope they don't do that. Let it end in its prime. Let it end on, high and mighty, and just let that be it and move on to the next thing. So
Yeah.
we'll see what happens.
What I'm scared of, and I hope it doesn't happen. I hope it doesn't happen like American Horror Story, where it peaks too soon and then the ending just crashes. Like it would happen every time American Horror Story, when it would get to be the best. And then like the last 2 episodes would like suck. Or like Lost, or any of those series that went on for too long.
It's going to be, season 2 will be very interesting, because the game, the second one, was very divisive with fans. So it will be interesting to see how people react to the show season 2. So what happens next? Perry meets with Kathleen in her room. She talks about him, and she talks to Perry about Michael, her brother. So from this convo, you can tell she was very attached to her brother. Perry tells Kathleen her brother was a great man and that her team is with her. And this pleases Kathleen. Joel and the whole gang, they make it out of the tunnel and they head out, so everybody's safe. Ellie offers Henry to follow them to Wyoming. She's like, you know what? You guys, y'all know what you're doing. Come with us to Wyoming. Suddenly, gunshots ring out. Joel tells the others to stay behind while he goes to take out the shooter. The sniper is an old man, as old as Father Time, and Joel takes him out. He tries to shoot at Joel. Joel takes him out. As it turns out, the old man works for Kathleen and her revolutionaries, and they're on to Henry's location. Kathleen calls out for Henry, and because Henry is concerned, and because Henry is cornered, he gives himself up and asks her not to hurt the kids. Kathleen says no, and Henry tells Ellie to take Sam, and they run. So I'll stop here and ask for your thoughts, Ryan and Giandra.
Yeah, I mean, I'm glad to see Joel gets like more ammo as it goes, but it never seems like it's enough. You know, like every time he gets like the rifle or something like that, you like, it's like always a jamming problem or something. You know, he takes it from somebody else to get him down there, and I'm like, you already see this just not going well. You know, with Perry down there with them, and it's just like the separation of like two groups that need to protect each other. And it's a lot going on because, Henry has the mindset and he can get you places, but he's not exactly like, to go get him, shoot him up kind of guy, but he's going to protect Sam no matter what. So you're already nervous. It's already not good to have this division right now. So yeah, your heartbeat starts picking up a little bit when it starts.
Henry has that full collaborator energy, just like a true snitch, all a lot of talk and no real know-how. Right. He talks a little like kind of a little bit grifting energy. He's gonna do just enough to further his agenda and get where he needs to be. And every time I felt myself getting a little warm for him, something, unfolded where I said, he's going to get them killed. That's very clear because his judgment is crazy. Why are you walking through these places where you have to be quiet and you just too hype? We out here. I got us out here. And just his judgment is poor. He's like just smart enough to survive, but just dumb enough to be too loud about it. And I mean, he had to be some collateral damage at some point because he's just not very smart. His judgment is he's like a C student. C's get degrees, but they definitely not the smartest in the class.
But he's street smart, which is good to have those assets in these kind of situations. So I'd rather be partnered up with this guy than like the scholar that doesn't really know how to navigate his way through the streets and all of that.
True. Yeah. He did the purpose for sure.
Yeah. So then Kathleen draws her gun to shoot Henry when suddenly a disturbance from underground causes an armored truck to sink deep into the earth. And suddenly there's hundreds of clickers from underground that start running towards Kathleen and her team. And I just thought that this was funny because the clickers just had this like 28 days later super serum and they're I was like, how do they get fast all of a sudden?
Yes. That was crazy.
Oh my God.
So
there was like
that was bomb.
It was. And that was the one moment where I'm like, okay, we need these clickers to come out here. So they start running and they go towards Kathleen and her team. Meanwhile, Joel is still upstairs where the sniper was, and he's shooting clickers from afar, which it's kind of cool to see this moment because it's very game-like. He's, in sniper mode, taking them out. And, he's there helping to protect the kids. And then we see our first bloater make an appearance. And I think we talked about this in our first recap. Maybe I don't know if I had brought up the bloater, or maybe I brought that up. Okay. Because bloaters, just to give you a little bit of background, these are infected that have been infected for a very long time, like at least 20 years or more. So they have this very bulky appearance. And I don't know if they're called bloaters. They may be bloaters too, but Infected can also be attached with other infected, and like all of them can they can all merge together as like one big infected, which I think ultimately is what a bloater can become. So it's kind of disgusting when you think about it, but yeah, over a long extended period of time, that's what bloaters are. So that's what we see. And as so the bloater makes an appearance. Guns have no effect on it at this point. and Perry, he tells Kathleen to run. As Kathleen runs, the bloater rips Perry in half. He's done for. Ellie narrowly escapes a clicker while hiding in a vehicle. And I thought that this clicker was funny because she was like an acrobat or something. She was like flipping around.
Lord.
And we see Ellie, we see some good knife action, by the way, from Ellie in this moment, killing a couple of clickers while trying to save Henry and Sam. So that was a cool moment. And then Ellie grabs both of them. They run towards the house where Joel is, but Kathleen stops them in their tracks with a gun pointed at them. And just in the nick of time, the clicker takes out Kathleen. And I will stop there.
Man, I kid you not. I was just chill sitting back on my seat like this, kind of watching like, okay, all right, let's see how this goes down. They got the rebels shooting. All of a sudden, boom, like just out of nowhere. I was just like, you gotta be kidding me. I was like, it's like 3 of them plus the rebels. I said, what's worse than having rebels and clickers in the same scene? It was just, that was insane. And I remember Perry warning her before. He was like, okay, the ground moving. You might need to do something about this. You're like, nah. We come back and handle that later. We'll do that later. So it was just another instance of just like having to follow the leader, doing what you think you're doing that's right to survive, but you're kind of ignoring like the warning signs of what's going on. But yeah, it was intense to see it was just like they wouldn't stop. Once that hole opened up, it was just like constant. They were coming like crazy. And yeah, like the child clicker that was had the gymnast stuff. Like how DeAndre was twisting up. I was like, you gotta be kidding me. That was intense. And like Ellie was moving around in the truck and everything and just like narrowly got out at the end. And then you got Sam and Henry underneath the truck. I was like, this is crazy. You knew when you saw the clicker start grabbing on their legs. You like, okay, somebody about to get got. Because Joel wasn't cranking them all quick enough. And then it got jammed again. Like he was up there with the rifle, like getting some of them, but it got jammed again. So I'm like, it's just me. I'm having a problem with the ammo. And Joel needing the tools.
I said this on someone else's podcast about the ammo. I have issues with how they're handling ammo on this show. It's just like, y'all need to be better with making sure that not only that they have ammo, but also having them use more hand-to-hand combat. Now, in this case, Joel couldn't do it, but we're not seeing enough like Shiv movement happening because that's what happens in the game. But yeah, he needs to use his resources a little bit better because, like you said, like he can't get those bullets in enough, and then also he could run out of bullets. And ammo is like a hot commodity, so. Yeah, they need to have the actors, kind of be similar to the game where, you got to use that hand-to-hand combat more. But anyway, continue.
I didn't know why they didn't take more ammo from the homie's house when they were out there. That would have been cool to like take, backpack it up. But this scene, my God, I screamed when I saw it. And then it made me think I have this severe fear of rats, right? Of any rodents of any kind, right? And it reminded me of that scene from Ratatouille for our Disney files up in here, where all the rats come out of the ceiling in the restaurant in the movie Ratatouille, and the way they all came out of the ground, I was like, oh, hell no. That would have been the end of my life right there. It would have been done. I would have been done. I would have been brave up until that. And then the big giant bloater came out. I said, yep. Nobody's touching this show. Nobody is messing with this show. No other adaptations of any video games. That shit was fire. It was fire. Sorry, language, but it looked.
No, you're fine.
It was crazy. Just how it looked. We know it's fantastical, But at the same time, I could really see some stuff coming out of the ground like that if it was the end of the world. That was probably my favorite scene, like in terms of enjoyment, not emotional quotient, to see that part happen. Kudos to the team, however the CGI or whatever they did, because that was, to me, that's, if they don't get some type of special effects nomination for that, then what are we really doing here? That was my
Exactly.
favorite part. That was
Give
my
them
favorite
all the
part.
technical awards and performance awards, starting with Nick Offerman from episode 5 or episode 3.
Mhm. Mhm.
But
Um,
that was just,
and
it was
Melanie
just so
Linsky.
stressful.
Yeah.
All of
Killed it.
them.
All
All
of
of them.
Okay, we got a lot of comments here. Little divisive here. Tara isn't here. You trying to be
Uh-oh.
controversial? On what planet
I'm
would she be
into
in
it,
charge
Tara.
of anything here? These men with guns would have laughed her out of the group. I mean, what planet are you on? I don't understand what
Dang,
this
Tara, you
statement is.
mad. Tara is mad
What
with this.
century are you living in? Women are very much capable of handling a military regime.
For
So
real.
and I think Melanie, he says bad casting. No, I completely disagree. I think it's perfect casting because she has this very disarming, genteel voice and just persona where you think she's like very innocent and very sweet, and then she's like, burn the bodies. It's faster. Like she's terrifying. And then the fact that you thought she was going to let Edelstein live, and you thought she was going to shed some mercy on him, and then she comes back and shoots him in the head. Are you serious? I didn't see that coming.
Right.
No.
I mean, a more believable tough woman, that's so relative though. That's so relative. Toughness can manifest itself in many, many forms. Yeah. So to say she's not, somebody like that who's unassuming, to me is more frightening than someone who just looks the part, that's super buff. Because if I see somebody who looks different from everybody else, that's telling me, oh shit, you're really a badass because you don't look like nobody here. That's a person who has a different type of diabolical mind, a different level of fear factor. She could be damn near a sociopath at this point because these people took out her brother, and all of those culminated things have turned her into this. It's like when a parent sees a car on top of their kid and they say, this woman lifted a whole Buick off her child. That's what I get from her portrayal. Terry, woo, you mad because I totally disagree.
Yeah. I mean, he did like Walking Dead season 1, so
yeah, we made it mad with that one. But I don't know, for his comment alone too is why I love why they do things like this, because you don't think that, and that's how she gets into the room, because you wouldn't think that, and she gets up in there, she's like, okay, all y'all gone. Exactly. She was like, you thought, and you should take all them out in the room.
I love this username. Trump is the root of all evil. I love that they weren't able to take the bloater down. Yeah, exactly.
I don't. That scared me. That scared me because I know it's given. I was like,
it is scary, but it just goes to show how they become more destructive and more menacing and scary as they get older in age. Yeah,
that's right.
Pour out one for Perry.
Dime Dropper 5. Oh, go ahead, Ryan. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off.
I'm sorry. I was just saying, pour it out for Perry. I felt so bad. He got his head ripped off. Y'all, that was like tragic. I thought they were just gonna choke him out, and he was just gonna be like the head, and they just dropped it. The bloater just dropped it out to the side. I was like, oh God, pour it out for him on this episode.
Dime Dropper 5 says, kind of like a smaller Rat King. I think that's in response to your Ratatouille comment, Gianna. Trump is the root of all evil. I kind of feel like a bloater and the Rat King are two different evolutionary paths. Ooh.
Interesting.
I'd love for you. Yeah, I'd love for you to explain that. They did say there's a factory that makes nothing but pills and bullets. Okay, in reference to the ammo conversation.
Okay.
And Tara isn't here. I'm being too negative. I probably shouldn't be watching this show. I'm more annoyed than entertained. Yeah, don't do that to yourself. I've done that with TV shows where they've annoyed me and I've had to stop watching them. So yeah, if you're not enjoying this show, then that is not something you should be doing, is watching it.
But I don't know, you're making me feel like I need to go watch Walking Dead now, because now I'm intrigued. So maybe if I can get some down brain time, I'm gonna have to go down the Walking Dead rabbit hole and see what's up.
And honestly, and not to, I'm not trying to be rude to you, Tara, but The Walking Dead is a perfect example of a show that I had to stop watching because it was annoying me. Season 1 is actually pretty decent, with the exception of Lori being one of the most annoying characters on the show. But as it got like into the other later seasons, and then the writing, you could just tell, like the writer's room, they were just throwing darts at a dartboard. I couldn't keep watching. So yeah,
that's how I felt about Lost. That's how I felt about Lost when it got to season 4. Like I was starting to tune out. I couldn't do it.
Like a crazy person, I stayed till the end and watched that season finale, and whoo.
Oh, I watched it and it pissed me off, and I bought the box set. And
man.
Why? Why would I do that?
Self-care is important, Giandra. We have to take care of ourselves.
We have to take care of our mentals and our chickens. That's what Marshawn Lynch said. We got to take care of our mentals and our chickens.
Trump the Root is all evil says, yeah, maybe get off the ship. It's making hella money. They won't change to accommodate you. Please enjoy the 20 Walking Dead spinoffs. Exactly. I don't even watch Fear the Walking Dead. I don't.
I see.
And I'm here for people making like those actors that are still on there that are like probably filthy rich because they've been on the show for so long. But I you won't see me watching them shows. Let's see here. Dime Dropper. She's like a wolf in sheep's clothing. Exactly. Kathleen. Yes. She seems like a very weak person who got stuck in a position she has no idea what she's supposed to do. In her attempt to do good, she went full crazy. It's played very well.
I agree.
I may not like this show, but I love you guys. Oh, thank you.
Yay. Likewise.
Appreciate you.
We love that.
Not ripped off, ripped in half. Yes, we know what you meant by that. Yes. I have no proof of the Rat King being different than the Bloater, just my thought. Okay, cool. Early seasons were much better. I agree. Yeah. Early seasons of Walking Dead were much better. And then it started to suck towards the end.
And it screwed the pooch.
There you go. Okay, so last scene, Joel and the group, they find shelter. He offers Henry the opportunity to travel with him to Wyoming. Ellie and Sam are reading a comic, and Sam asks Ellie if she's scared. And she then tells him that she's scared of being alone. When Ellie asks Sam, what about him? He replies, if you turn into a monster, is it still you inside? And then Sam shows Ellie that he's been infected. Ellie then tells Sam that her blood is medicine, and she cuts herself. She puts her blood on his wound, and he then asks her to stay awake with him. The next morning, when Ellie wakes up, Sam is sitting on his bed. She approaches him, and it turns out that he turned, and he attacks her. As Joel grabs for the gun, Henry gets it first. He shoots at Joel to stop him, and then he shoots Sam to save Ellie. Henry is now in shock, and he asks Joel, what did he just do? And then he turns the gun on himself. This happens, by the way, exactly in the game. So for people out there that are going to get mad and say, no, they're doing Black trauma porn. No, this happened in the game. The characters were Black in the game. It played out the same way. Just want to throw that out there. There was a conversation I saw on Facebook. I'm going to add this. It's kind of irrelevant, but it just kind of got me a little bit like on my nerves. They were talking about the character of Sarah, who was race bent for the show. Nico Parker plays her, who, by the way, is the daughter of Tandaway Newton. So,
okay. Shout out to all the nepos out there.
Yeah, Tandaway Newton's daughter. So she was race bent for the game, and people are like, why are we doing this? You know, killing people of color. And, you know, Sarah is white in the game and she dies in the game. It's like Sarah has to die for this story to move in the direction that it moves. Yeah. So let's not have those arguments. Like, there are arguments to be said about, you know, Black trauma porn and Black, you know, death and marginalized people being, you know, hurt and killed in ways that is unjust. This is not that conversation. So I'm just putting that out there. but this is how it happens in the game. Finally, Ellie and Joel, they create a burial plot for Henry and Sam, and then they head west for Wyoming. So that is how the episode ends, and I give it to you guys to unpack what your feelings were about those moments.
Yeah, Jamie, to your point, I think they just need to start putting more actors of color in these genres. So we don't always have to second guess, is this happening to them? Is it a race thing where all of the black characters getting killed off? When it's like you said, they're fitting the character. This happens to the character in the gameplay that you read about. And to me, it's more sad just because you have a brother, you have two brothers trying to protect each other, or an older brother trying to protect his younger brother. And this is the only choice he has. Like, he's in this world, and this is the only choice he has because, there's no way to control Sam at this point. He's been up all night. You can tell the disease is fully taken over. And, Ellie, no telling how she feels. She wasn't able to stay up with him. She said, I promise I'm going to stay up with you. She falls asleep. So it's just so many factors in here that I don't think, just lend to like, okay, they just want to kill off the black characters. It was just so many more emotions going off in here. And it's about survival. This show is constantly about how do you get to the next situation? I'm on foot. I gotta keep from getting bit by this clicker. I gotta make sure I got food. It's just this constant cycle of, how are you gonna survive and how are you gonna get to the next? But, well played by these actors, because definitely the tears was going. You had to have the Kleenex because you thought he was gonna be, if you don't know anything about the game, you thought maybe he was going to survive because, we know Ellie has something special going on with her, her blood, her genetic makeup, that is some kind of cure that they're working for. So you're like, well, maybe she can help him out. This little boy doesn't have to die in this. He doesn't have to have this sadness being so young. But yeah, there he is. Aw, yeah, that was sad. Yeah, that was sad to see him go out like that. We're gonna miss you, Sam.
Yeah.
Go miss Sam.
We are.
For me as a non, first of all, can I just say, for a little comic relief, these people sleep too damn hard for the fact that the world is coming to the end. Everybody keep waking up with people standing over them. If my dog rolls over, and I got a little ass dog, I wake up like, what's wrong? What's wrong? These people are way too comfortable in their sleeping arrangements, number one. But number two, this, I like, a lot of people are going to be watching. I'm not a gamer. I didn't watch enough gameplay to get to this point in knowing what was going to happen in the game. And I was done. That's why I was looking crazy when I popped on. I was so sad and so heartbroken to see how their end came. I had a good feeling that the little boy was going to turn. He had to advance the story. But to see Henry have to shoot him and it be so violent a death, but it's still on point because this is based on a video game. So I had to separate my feelings about that. Like, I can't believe they're shooting black children on TV, but it has to go that way because it goes with the game. But it was just so, it was just so beautifully acted and performed, and it was completely tragic. And just finally seeing Ellie have that chink in the armor, because she's been bratty this whole time, and to just see her cry. Oh, I'm getting emo even thinking about it. That was very sad, but very well done. Now I have to go back to the gameplay again just to cure myself of the PTSD that this is part of the gameplay story. But I'm sorry, no show is touching this. I think there's a sort of like almost like a fearlessness with this series into going all the way. With Resident Evil and other franchises that have tried to adapt themselves into movies, it's like they'll stop just short of the violence, but the violence of the game is true and it's real, and how the games are created. And HBO and this team that put this together were brave enough to go all the way like that, because I don't think anybody else would have been cool with letting a character shoot a child on TV like that. So it was sad, but it was it's brilliant because it goes with the game.
Absolutely. I'm going to read a couple of comments and I'll wrap us up. Trump is the root of all evil says, new Sarah effed up my favorite line. She did good at the role overall, but I hate how she said, I sell hardcore drugs. Old school Sarah made that line so great. Oh yeah. I know what you mean. Yeah, yeah. And I miss the southern twang that the old Sarah
Yeah.
had in the game.
Mhm.
And then also Trump is the root of all evil. Last of Us added diversity by adding main characters of color. They also added some LGBT plus representation by strongly suggesting Bill is gay bi. Part 2 added so many gay bi characters. 100. Also, to add to that, it's so hilarious. So they had said that people review bombed episode 3 because of this added storyline of Bill. And I just thought that that was hilarious because I was like, well, wait until season 2 comes out. If you're upset about that, the romantic storyline of episode 3, you're really going to be mad at season 2. Because they go in deep with LGBT representation and romantic story arcs into that story. So yeah, I mean, this was hard. It was really hard to just see that scene and just see what happens to Henry and what he had to do, and the choice that he had to make. Oh, and let me read this comment because this is a really good comment. Trump is the root of all evil said that in the game, they never mentioned if Henry has ever killed anybody before, but the fact that they added that in there made it more of a tragedy. And that was actually something that I thought was very interesting that they decided to do, because yeah, it makes it all the more tragic. And he blames himself for the death of Edelstein. But yeah, it still makes it all the more tragic that, you know, the first person that he actually does kill is his own brother. So yeah, it was when I knew this episode was coming out, I was like, oh man, people are they're gonna be in their feelings about this one. But I can understand if people are gonna want to critique this for reasons, but just keep in mind, guys, that like I feel like the folks behind this game have been very good about representation and diversity in all aspects, and I don't think any particular group is being like targeted when it comes to you know, death and you know, injury and all of that stuff like that. And this is a show about, you know, the post-apocalypse and that's going to happen to the majority of the characters.
You know,
I'm not even going to say more because I'm
have a problem. I wonder if people who have a problem with the LGBTQI representation, like the movie V for Vendetta, you know, because that's a huge part of that storyline too. I'd like to know about that. That's a favorite movie of mine, and that was a huge part of that storyline too. So if any V for Vendetta people are rocking with us, hit us on Twitter and let me know if you have the same kind of, not that, you know, it's apples and oranges, but just, you know, why can't these people be gay? It's the end of the world. What the hell? Ain't nobody having sex anyway. So what do you care? Except for them, you know, but they were living in their little suburban hideaway. But I mean, it's the end of the world. Does it?
I know.
It's okay. It's okay to be gay.
Yeah, it was just shocking to me that people review bombed that episode. I was like, really? People are really mad about that? That's crazy to me. I kind of want to see them start casting worse actors so it's easier to say goodbye to people. I've never seen that for Henry and Sam, but they did great. I miss Anna Torv. Yeah, Anna Torv.
Yeah, I'm with you right there. Cast some people that I want to see go. So I'll be like, yes, they got them.
I know every actor in this series, they're all so good. Because I loved Anna Torv from back in her Fringe days. Remember Fringe from back in the day? And I don't know Lamar Johnson and Kevon, I don't know who they are either. So I just want to see,
but they can act their butts off. And I would say, I want you to pick some people that can act.
Woodard. Yeah. I want to see them in more things. That's all I want. Yeah. Lamar did the damn thing. That scene with him and Pedro, I was like, all right, you eating this script up.
Yep.
Completely.
Hashtag Fringe. Yes. Fringe was my show. Who is going to play David? I know. Listen, who's going to play Abby? That's what I want to know.
Yeah.
Protect
Mhm.
that actress at all costs. That's all I'm saying. All right. So we are going to wrap up this show. Thank you guys so much for joining us for the episode 5 recap of The Last of Us. We'll be back next week to talk about episode 6. And we will see you then. Thanks for joining us. See you then. Bye.
Bye.